This ain't nobody asked, ain't nobody checking for no steroid. I said, he had quick hands, he was hit. I said, why y'all ain't checking for steroid? He ain't checking steroid. And then,
you think he was on steroids?
Of course he was on steroids. Don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroid.
Responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for...
Boxing legend Evander Holyfield has stirred major controversy by openly accusing Canelo Alvarez of possible steroid use, as anticipation builds for the upcoming Canelo vs. Terence Crawford showdown. Holyfield's bold claims have sparked intense debate and speculation throughout the boxing world.
Mexican boxing fights of all time, in my opinion. Yeah. So I feel like I'm 100% confident in myself. If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me. Especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, so he never got off
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How does five?
You saw De La Hoya call him out.
How do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids? Right. All those fucking dudes in that camp.
Although Holyfield hasn't directly accused Canelo of steroid use, he has been vocal about enforcing harsher punishments for fighters who test positive for banned substances. Back in 2018, after Canelo's positive test for clenbuterol, Holyfield argued that athletes caught using Pez should face jail time, even suggesting a 30-day sentence.
Alvarez failed a drug test before his big Triple G fight in May, and he's blaming Mexican cows. All right, here's the deal. 2 months until the rematch with Gennady Golovkin on May 5th is going to be the big fight, and he's been taking drug tests leading up to the fight, standard operating procedure. This time he popped for a substance called clenbuterol, which is a banned substance. As a matter of fact, it helps you cut weight. A lot of people use it illegally to cut weight while maintaining muscle mass. He is saying he did not cheat. He's not a cheater. I did not intentionally take clenbuterol. Problem is, I've been training in Mexico and eating contaminated cow beef. That's what he's saying. There's a problem apparently in Mexico where some of the cattle are being injected with clenbuterol, which helps cows. It's illegal in the United States, but some places outside the United States, even some places in the United States, will use clenbuterol to grow bigger cows, to up the protein content in the meat. And he's saying that what he had was contaminated meat because his training center is in Mexico and there's a problem with Mexican meat down there. He even issued a statement saying, quote, "I'm an athlete who respects the sport and this surprises me and bothers me because it never happened to me. I will submit to all the tests that require me to clarify this embarrassing situation, and I trust in the end the truth will prevail." So far, the fight with Gennady Golovkin is still on. He's still dead set on making that fight.
Floyd Mayweather has sharply criticized the boxing world for what he sees as a double standard in handling steroid use, particularly in the case of Canelo Alvarez. He argues that while some fighters face heavy scrutiny, others, like Canelo, are given leniency because of their marketability and status, which he believes undermines the sport's integrity and allows certain athletes to avoid accountability. Mayweather stresses that PED use is not only cheating but also a serious health risk, ultimately damaging boxing's credibility.
What we don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroids. We don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat. He could have been not clean in a lot of fights. Canelo, and the list goes on and on about athletes that's been cheating.
Been accused of cheating or been proven?
No, been proven too.
This been proven.
Yeah. Oh, Canelo. Oh, shit.
This been proven.
Lance Armstrong.
And then Canelo talking about it was the steak that it was the meat that he was eating. So okay, now you eating. I guess you eating steroid cows.
Floyd Mayweather has sharply criticized the boxing world for what he sees as a double standard in handling steroid use, particularly in the case of Canelo Alvarez. He argues that while some fighters face heavy scrutiny, others, like Canelo, are given leniency because of their marketability and status, which he believes undermines the sport's integrity and allows certain athletes to avoid accountability. Mayweather stresses that PED use is not only cheating but also a serious health risk, ultimately damaging boxing's credibility.
When the greatest Canelo came out, the one that you guys seen that fought Triple G the first time, bro, dude popped dirty for clenbuterol, bro. Why do you think the second fight didn't happen? So for me, seeing that was the best Canelo I've ever seen. But that was Canelo off of steroids. Everybody else that he's fought, he fought Amir Khan, he fought Daniel Jacobs, he fought, what the f is his name, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant. These guys are all weak, bro. So for me, that's why I feel like I see Canelo Alvarez and I see like, he's not as good as everybody thinks. Because the best one that fought Golovkin the first time was off clenbuterol. That was the best Canelo I've ever seen, and that's why he looked so good, because he was off clenbuterol. So with the Canelo, he even got suspended for like 7 months.
So it's guaranteed.
He's guaranteed took it. He said that he ate meat that was tainted in Mexico.
Now, let me ask you
I've
that
talked
question.
to people. They said for him to test positive off a piece of meat, he would.
Recently, David Benavidez has openly accused Canelo Alvarez and his entire team of using steroids, questioning why Canelo would avoid fighting him if he were truly confident. Pointing to multiple positive steroid tests linked to Canelo's camp, Benavidez implied that the team is dirty, a claim that has further fueled their heated rivalry.
Serious accusations about his gym. And the accusations are that people, or at least the implications are, that he is the one that is providing performance-enhancing drugs or is in some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol 2 times. For Fahim Satur, I'll say that he did it 2 times, even though I think it was for the same fight. But Canelo Alvarez popped dirty for clenbuterol 2 times. You have Luis Nery, who had tested positive, but I think Luis Nery tested positive before he was with Eddie Reynoso. Then you have Ryan Garcia, who popped dirty after he left Eddie Reynoso and went over to Derek James. And then you have Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez popped dirty while he was with Eddie Reynoso, but at the time he was still allowed to fight. You also clearly see that you have an issue with the fight that's coming up with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, in that you have one guy that tested positive and you have another guy that looks like he's using in order to get up and continue to climb up weight classes. You know, at a certain point in time, and this is something that Rolly Romero had said, certain point in time, your body just doesn't do that. At a certain point in time, your body just doesn't do it. I'm 6'2", 200, and should weigh about 210. Closer to 250, but I should weigh about 210. I'm not gonna get up. If I was 210 now at 50 years old.
Eddie Reynoso's gym has come under heavy scrutiny following multiple doping allegations against fighters he trains. Most notably, Canelo Alvarez, one of Reynoso's star pupils, has been linked to past steroid controversies. Critics highlight that several fighters from Reynoso's camp have tested positive for banned substances, fueling concerns about the gym's training environment and oversight. As Canelo readies himself for his clash with Terence Crawford, many are paying close attention to his rapid physical transformation.
If I'm juicing, if for a 30-year-old, right? You remember, your body grows. Men's body can grow in height and length up until you're to the extreme in your 20s. By the time you're 20, your height and all that stuff is there, right? Your height and your length in your mid 20s. You know, by the time you're 29, your musculature is pretty much there. It gets harder to gain and put on muscle after 30.
On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan addressed Canelo Alvarez's past failed test for clenbuterol, noting the ongoing debates about his physique and performance. He stressed the need for transparency and for athletes to protect the integrity of the sport. His comments have further fueled speculation as Alvarez gears up for his fight against Terence Crawford. Many boxing fans say they are unsurprised by the latest doping allegations, pointing to Canelo's history with performance-enhancing substances, including a prior suspension for testing positive for clenbuterol, as evidence that the accusations align with past behavior.
What up, everybody? It's your boy MC from MCTV. I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo Alvarez is on steroids right now as we speak, and he's going to be fully juiced with something that hasn't even hit the market yet. Think about it. He's pretty much a billionaire. He has.
Evander Holyfield has praised Terence Crawford's exceptional boxing skills, particularly his impressive power and versatile style. He pointed out Crawford's ability to fluidly switch between orthodox and southpaw stances, making him unpredictable and difficult for opponents to read. Holyfield noted that this adaptability forces rivals to constantly adjust their strategies mid-fight, comparing it to life's need for continuous adaptation. His admiration highlights Crawford's unique style, sharp reflexes, and overall readiness, which he believes make him a formidable challenger.
Left-handed and right-handed, how do you deal with someone like that?
I don't know. Did nobody switch up on me about it? So it's hard for me to say, but I know life is about adjustment. You have to make adjustment. To be successful, adjustment is always going to be the difference between how far you going to go.
And this is the last one, because I just thought of something. Obviously, Fury Usyk, a lot of people are talking about for undisputed. You were a smaller guy, and you almost beat. A lot of people thought you beat Nikolai Valuev, who's even taller.
I just did.
Yeah, even taller than Tyson Fury. How does a small guy Usyk defeat a tall guy like Tyson?